Hey everybody, it's the Bryan Vinny Show, July 9, 2019, figure4online.com/wrestlingobserver.com. Tuesday night here on the show. I am still out of town, although I am heading back tomorrow, and that means that Vinny is at his house. I am here in Cannon Beach, no Craig, just Vinny and I doing Retro Raw and Nitro from 19 years ago this week. Everything should be back to normal on Thursday with the Granny Show. But one of the reasons I'm out here is because they're repainting our ceiling. And so I'm praying that nothing goes wrong. Because whenever work is being done in your house, anything could go wrong. I think everybody is well aware, but that's the plan.
They're repainting your ceiling?
Yes.
How long have you lived there?
Well, it's not because we added lighting in the living room.
Okay.
And so they had to poke holes in the ceiling.
I see.
And so now they must repaint the ceiling. Otherwise, there will just be white patches all over the ceiling where they had to patch everything back up.
I see. Yeah, that's no good.
That's why it's being repainted.
Okay.
Not because I wanted whales on the ceiling or the Sistine Chapel or anything like that.
Stars. It'd be kind of cool.
The constellations were discussed with Paisley. She knows what the word constellation means now because of one of her Dr. Seuss books, but none of that's going to happen, so don't get your hopes up.
Well, I guess we'll talk about Raw then.
We do always start with Raw. That is
WWF
correct.
Monday Night Raw number 372, July 10th of the year 2000.
Why do you say it like that?
That's fun to say the year 2000. People may not remember, but once upon a time, the year 2000 was the distant future.
Yeah, now we're fucking old.
Yeah.
It's the distant past now.
It is ancient history.
How does that make you feel that it was at one point the distant future, and now it is in your distant past?
I have an even better example. I went to a 4th of July party on the 4th of July, and I saw my neighbors who they grew up across the street from me. And one of them, the last time I saw them, had just had a little baby girl. And she brought the little baby girl over to show it to our family. And it was my neighbor and the baby and me and my mom and a few other relatives. And the baby was just running back and forth in the bed, having a grand old time. It was adorable and sweet, and I've never forgotten it. And hadn't seen this neighbor in a while. I said, "Hey, how's your daughter doing?" They said, "Oh, she's 25.
Oh, god damn, you're old.
I am so old.
Holy smokes. Thank God I'm still young.
It must be nice. Anyway, WWF Monday Night Raw 372, July 10th of the year 2000, Brian. So Shane McMahon and Chris Benoit come out for a promo. Benoit did not have wrist tape on. And he looked so weird without wrist tape.
What, his arms look short?
Actually, they look longer.
Maybe that was the problem all those years.
He never should have worn the wrist tape in the first place. So Shane says a lot of stuff that sounds bad in the year 2019 about Chris Benoit. Benoit challenges Rock to a non-title match tonight. He still wants the title match fully loaded, but he doesn't want to wait. He tries to tell a diarrhea joke about Mick Foley. It does not go over well. Rock finally accepts the challenge, and that's really it. And then Eddie and Chyna attack Benoit and Shane, and Benoit and Shane run away.
So I could have sworn that they were already going to have a match.
Last show, no, I don't think so. Because last week ended with Benoit attacking Rock out of nowhere.
I guess we just knew that they were going to have a match.
Yeah, we knew. I don't think it was announced.
Well, anyway, they announced here that, yes, they're going to face off tonight. Mm-hmm. And if Benoit beats The Rock one-on-one, he gets a title match at Fully Loaded, which, by the way, is in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So it's not the go-home show, but it's 1 week before the go-home show.
They are running out of time.
We're trying to figure out who's going to face the fucking Rock for the WWF Championship at a pay-per-view in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Can we get our shit together here? What's going on? I should add, by the way, that Benoit was never known as a very good promo, but he was a better promo on the show than probably 70% of the WWE today.
Times do change. That's true. We are told that tonight Val Venus will defend his Intercontinental title.
I didn't know he was the Intercontinental Champion.
What? This is news. You should tell me what's going on here. Mick Foley is not on this show. He is in Southeast Asia on a publicity tour, going to Kuala Lumpur.
We need to get some.
Lands.
We need to get some publicity in Kuala Lumpur.
I guess they did.
I mean, I guess they did, but fuck, you couldn't send him to, like, I don't know. There's nothing against Kuala Lumpur.
Right now, all our Kuala Lumpur listeners are so pissed off.
Yeah, all
at you.
0 of them. I mean, fuck, send them to a country that, like, has money and people. No offense to Kuala Lumpur.
Too Cool versus TNA versus the Hardys in a 3-way. Having this match, everything's going fine. And then, I don't know what happened, but Jeff hits the ropes, and he's running at Grandmaster Sexay, and Sexay does not do a move, nor does he dodge or duck. He just starts to dance, and they bump into each other really fucking hard.
All right, so Kuala Lumpur, 7.25 million people there.
That's not very many.
Nah. Officially the federal territory of Kuala Lumpur, the largest city in all of Malaysia. Are you aware of that?
Did not know.
Yes. Established in 1859. What do you think about that?
Fucking old.
Yeah. Postal code 50,000 to 60,000. In case you want to send them a letter.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Trying to find out some of their economics here.
I got nothing to add about Kuala Lumpur, dude. I'm learning everything.
I can tell you more.
Untapped territory to me.
Dude, the record high, 101.5 degrees. Average high, 90.3 degrees for the year.
That's an incredibly small window.
Very, very hot place here in Kuala Lumpur.
Oh no! Okay. So the average hottest day of the year is 90 degrees.
Well, let's see. What month is it? July?
Yeah.
Okay. So the average high in July is 91 degrees. That's the average high.
Okay, that makes more sense.
The average low is 74.8 degrees. The record low is 68 degrees. I'll take that.
I was going to say, you're going to move, aren't you?
Yeah.
Now you know why
I
Mick
take
Foley
back everything I said about Kuala Lumpur.
Now you know why Mick Foley went to Kuala Lumpur. Anyway, Jeff hits a senton. Albert choke bombs him, puts Test on top. The Hardys are eliminated. Now let's think about this. One guy who was in the match, although he was not the legal man, but he was in the match, hit another guy in the match with a wrestling move, and then put his partner on top for the pin. Of all the bullshit we've seen on this show over the years, the announcers flip their lids over how unfair and illegal this is. Go crazy.
Illegal?
Yeah.
It's a fucking 3-way elimination match.
Yes.
Nothing's illegal. Although, as we learn later, apparently at this point in time, you could be disqualified in a 3-way. So all of you motherfuckers who, whenever I complain about this, you say there's no DQs in a 3-way. There was a DQ in a 3-way on this show. I saw it with my own eyes.
There was. It should have set a precedent.
Yes.
So Lita gets her hands on Trish. There's a huge brawl between the teams. Scotty goes for the worm, and my God, did this place go nuts for the worm.
Yeah, so when Taz grabbed him and prevented the worm,
he did.
He got twice as much heat.
He did. And then Test followed with the big elbow for the win. So
it's a very, very nice flying elbow, I might add.
TNA was a good team, man. I don't recall them being together for very long, but they're two big, scary, athletic, mobile dudes who fit well together.
I feel like they've been around forever. I don't remember this being a quick team. Tess and Albert may be in line for a championship opportunity.
I believe it said they would get the title shot at the aforementioned fully loaded. Easy for me to say. DX is backstage trying to calm Hunter down.
He's very upset that Foley's in Kuala Lumpur
He is.
and is still signing matches.
Yeah, specifically, he's upset that Chris Jericho has a match tonight against Road Dogg instead of Triple H. So X-Pac's job in this promo is to explain that they can't attack Chris Jericho backstage or interfere in the Road Dogg's match. If they do, Triple H will lose his match against Chris Jericho at the pay-per-view.
Yes.
And I guess he got the job done, because I did understand those steps and that message, but boy, was it a struggle.
It took a lot for him to get this out.
It did.
Because it didn't need to be this complicated, but that's what they love to do.
Maybe this actually was live, because this
it could have been.
Take. Yeah,
could have been.
Hunter warned Road Dogg, get the job done tonight or don't bother coming back here. Kevin Kelly tries to interview Taz.
I actually really like this because Taz has been interfering the last couple of weeks. And I'm like, why the fuck is Taz interfering? Like, first off, where's he been? Second off, why is he so mad? And so Kevin Kelly goes to interview him, and this is all Taz says. But it says everything. He says, "So now you want to talk to me? I don't think so." And he leaves. That was awesome.
I would add 2 other details. The camera guy was laying down on the job here, literally. This is shot at a very low angle, looking up at both of them, which served to mask the fact that Taz is short. Can't hide it forever, but let's hide it when we can. So that's a plus. And there was also an extreme harsh light on them, leaving a very clear shadow on the wall. And when Taz leaves, and you can see Kevin Kelly's shadow shaking in fear, that was a good touch. This is very well done. The Road Dogg versus Chris Jericho. You can all write this down. On July 10th of the year 2000, the Road Dogg, Jesse James, Brian Armstrong, attempted a moonsault.
Sure did.
Missed it.
He failed.
Hey,
I want to say something before we continue with this. Kevin Kelly, I just want to say, is an underrated, very talented man in this business.
Yes.
Like, a lot of people today watch him on New Japan, and he's great on New Japan. And like a lot of new fans, that's what they know of Kevin Kelly. He's a guy who does a really good job on New Japan. But Kevin Kelly, doing his role here in the year 2000, was great in his role. He was not your normal idiot backstage interview guy. He was a very professional guy. He managed to ask the questions in a realistic manner. You never thought that he was an idiot. You felt bad for him when guys like belittled him or whatever. He did a very good underrated job here. I think part of it is because I see so many shitheads doing this job nowadays that I look back and I'm like, fuck, this guy was great. I didn't notice it then. But looking back now, he did a great job at that job. I also was watching Pamela Paulshock, who is his alter ego on the other fucking show.
What a polar opposite.
Holy smokes.
In all possible ways.
I want to give him credit for being great.
So Road Dogg did in fact miss this moonsault, and the finish was, "You miss a moonsault, I'll hit a quebrada, and I'll pin you." But they didn't really work out which way Jericho was going to run for the quebrada and which way Dogg needed to be lying in the ring.
Well, listen, I know that people that don't like Jericho are going to say that this was Jericho's fault, but Road Dogg fell at an angle. He's laying at an angle.
Diagonally, yes.
Not in the middle of the ring. He's between the ropes and the middle of the ring, okay? Where the fuck could Jericho possibly have gone? He couldn't go to the ropes on the side that Road Dogg was on because he was too close. If he tried to go to the ropes on the other side, as we found out, he was too far away. If he would have gone onto either of the other ropes, Road Dogg's facing the fucking wrong way no matter what rope he goes to. Like, this was totally not Jericho's fault. There was nowhere he could have gone to make this work.
Well, the way he gone, I think that's the right English. The way he gone.
The way he went.
The way he went, thank you. He hit the ropes, so he was going to come down in the UFC, it's called the north-south position. It could be crude and call it the 69, but we'll call it the north-south. So his feet's coming down like at Road Dogg's face, and then they hit Road Dogg's face.
So far in this sentence you said the way he gone, and also his feet.
Yes. I don't know.
Are you okay over there? Did you have a stroke?
Maybe I'm at the beach. I don't know.
Dude.
I promise I'm sober.
But anyway, the point of this is
The point is Road Dogg got kicked to the face really hard by a flying man.
He did, but when they showed the replay, he barely got touched. And he was totally fine when they did I don't even think it was a pre-tape. I think it was probably live immediately afterwards. So this could have gone very badly,
yes,
but everybody survived and everything was fine. And the match was good.
And Jericho pinned him, and of course Hunter goes nuts backstage. With the Undertaker on his motorcycle in the hallway, cruising on down, making people run and dive out of the way to save their lives.
Where else do you ride a motorcycle?
The road! What an asshole the Undertaker was here. Backstage, the Road Dogg is in fact alive, but since he lost, Hunter chews him out, shoves him down. Road Dogg's outraged. They're all pissed at each other. Undertaker comes out for a promo.
Okay, hold on a minute. I'll let you recap this in a second, but let me tell you something, everybody. The next 3 hours of this Raw episode here was the longest 3 hours of my fucking life. Taker comes out, cuts this goddamn rambling, long, boring, impossibly bad promo. He is followed by Kurt Angle, who comes out and cuts an incessantly long, boring, horrendous promo by Kurt Angle standards of all people. And then they do a sight gag with a fucking scooter, Undertaker, this whole thing. All I gotta say is when this was over, I was in a fury, okay? I was sweating. I was so angry. I hated the show. I wanted to quit this job. I hated every fucking solitary thing about this. It made me so just infuriated. And on top of that, as mad as I was that my life was being wasted on this shit, there was also the part of me that thought, you know what? All that aside, I do not give a shit about seeing these guys have a match together. If they would have just come out at the beginning of the show and said, coming up at Fully Loaded, Kurt Angle will face The Undertaker, I would have went, fuck, that sounds like it's going to be a pretty good match. By the time they were done with this, I was like, fuck you both. I'm not watching Fully Loaded. I don't ever want to see either of you again. Just get off my TV and go away. Fuck. Am I wrong?
Wow. You had a much stronger reaction to this than I did.
Dude, it just went on forever. They wouldn't get to the fucking point. There's three things that need to happen. Undertaker needs to call out Angle. Angle needs to say, let's do this at the pay-per-view. Angle needs to get on a fucking scooter. Undertaker gets mad. Okay? That's 3 minutes. This went, what, 45 minutes? Don't even tell me it went 1 minute less.
I didn't time it. I can't
Jesus
honestly tell you how long it went. But it didn't occur to me to have gone 40-some minutes. Well, here's what I got out of this. Undertaker says he hates a punk ass who is afraid to fight. He says that after last week when Kurt Angle attacked him, we saw that on Raw, when Kurt Angle attacked him from behind. So then on SmackDown, Kurt
Say
Angle...
hi to Bridget for me.
Bridget's home, everybody.
You think I can't see that?
Bridget's home. Bridget's home from Alaska. She just got her plane just landed.
Oh, man.
Just
Vinny's whole thing tonight was like, her flight lands at 8:30 and she'll come home, and I just don't want her to come in the middle of the show.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, we'll push it back. And sure as shit, Vinny, your fear came true. Would you like to go visit her real quick, and I'll do a quick pause?
Sure.
Okay, stand by, everybody. All right, we're back, everybody. Thank God you didn't have sex right there, because you didn't turn the machine off.
You're a lucky man. The thought occurred to me. So, The Undertaker, here's what I got out of this promo. Last week on Raw, The Undertaker and Kane destroyed Edge and Christian, but they didn't win because Kurt Angle attacked The Undertaker. That's how this all started. So on SmackDown, Taker says, Kurt Angle poured food on his bike.
Fuck.
And worse, I swear to God he said this, even worse, he didn't clean it off.
That's worse than pouring the shit on it in the first place.
So I honestly don't know if I was supposed to take that seriously or not. Like, did Taker think Kurt would come along, pour food on his bike, and then say, oh, just kidding, I'll get a rag and get to work? So, let's see. Angle comes out. This fight is too good for San Jose. It'll have to be a Fully Loaded. Everyone boos, and he says, these people are booing with anger about the thought of you and I going at it. The American hero versus the American badass is un-American. Says Taker needs to clean up his image, offers him the scooter. Taker declines, chases after him, pushes the scooter off the stage.
Great.
Rikishi versus Val Venus versus Kane. So Val got a haircut in addition to winning the Intercontinental title. These days, I'm not sure which of those is bigger news, honestly.
Oh, God, yeah, he did cut his hair off, didn't he?
So they do a bunch of random stuff. They're working hard, but it's just stuff.
I was so not into this match after that last segment. Like, I just couldn't even get into it. I was done with the show. The show must have been good because I got back into the show a few minutes later, but I did not care one bit about this match. And then after wrestling for 2 hours, they went to a fucking disqualification in a 3-way.
Yep. Val hits somebody with his belt. It's a DQ. Match is over.
and I can't remember exactly what Jim Ross said because I was like so mad I didn't even write it down. But he said that, I can't remember what he said, but it was like, in his mind, there was a winner. And I was like, how? Who won this match and how? Whoever hit the belt shot was clearly the loser.
Yeah.
So who was the winner? The guy who got hit? What about the poor fucking guy that got screwed because he didn't had any contact with the belt?
Because he didn't get hit.
I mean, what? This was stupid.
Stephanie tries to console Hunter, but suddenly Hunter's all happy and smiling. Says, I got an idea. Earlier today, the cat arrives at WWF New York.
The Shat?
No, the other cat.
Oh.
So Stephanie goes to the ring. She calls out Chris Jericho.
The cat, by the way, was not the best cat tonight. Shat was. But we'll get into that later.
So Stephanie butters up to Jericho. Says she kind of likes him, kind of liked his kiss. She thinks he liked it too.
Meanwhile, Lawler is lusting all over Stephanie McMahon's lips.
She says she wants to be friends. So Jericho appears on the screen, and in this segment, Jericho is no dummy. He is talking about how great she is, how great she looks, says he can't wait to kiss her again.
Hold on a second. She didn't say she wanted to be friends. She said, I kind of liked it. I think you liked it too. Now, pucker up and let's make up. She told him, get your ass down here. We're going to start making out.
I believe she actually did use the words, let's be friends in there too. But regardless, Jericho can see right through this. I'm coming right out, sugar muffin. And he walks off camera.
Hopefully Bridget didn't hear that.
He walks off camera. His entrance begins to play. But the lights come out. DX is waiting for him, but he is not there. It's a trap! He saw right through it. Says, this is the most pathetic attempt at an ambush I've seen in my entire life. He runs down Hunter. He runs down Steph. Stephanie has just, I forget what it was, but she has the goofiest expression on her face, as she always does at these times. Hunter is furious outstage that he's been outsmarted, or furious on stage that he has been outsmarted. And Jericho says that you may be the game, but I am the hunter. And Hunter says, your ass is mine at Fully Loaded.
This was great.
As he's storming off stage, even Jerry Lawler, the heel announcer, is like, did Hunter think this plan was foolproof? Because Hunter earlier had said he had a foolproof plan.
Yeah, this
apparently was it.
I thought this was great. I mean, it was so obvious what it was. They didn't make Jericho look like an idiot. He outsmarted the heels. It was great. Everybody was great in the segment. Stephanie's usually annoying, but she was great. Jericho was great. Hunter was great. Lawler was great. I loved this segment. It turned the show around for me.
Kelly interviews Edge and Christian. They were supposed to have a tag title match tonight against the Acolytes, but Christian says he is sick, and so Edge will have to do
the sniffles.
The sniffles. Edge will have to do a non-title singles match instead. And Edge is a little slow on the gimmick at first, but Christian eventually smartens him up. X-Pac and Hunter are all pissed. X-Pac says it was a stupid idea. They start yelling at each other. Hunter says, so I'm facing you tonight. It's you and me.
So clearly, the failed part of the plan was part of the foolproof plan.
The foolproof plan involved luring Jericho into a false sense of security by having a shitty plan.
So at the end of the day, Hunter was right.
He is the cerebral assassin.
Yes, he is. And actually, I hate to say it, but at the end of the day, Jericho did look like an idiot. We'll get to that.
Edge versus, as it's announced here, Acolyte Bradshaw.
Yeah.
It had a boring match. Nobody cared about it. Edge hit a bell shot and won.
I love that they had that whole situation with the higher power and the Undertaker and Vince McMahon and whatever that convoluted bullshit story was. And it ends, but these guys are still acolytes.
Yes.
They're very loyal. I don't know to who.
I'm not sure what they're acolytes of.
Sure.
Yes, they are acolytes. The Hardys give Lita a pep talk. She's having a street fight, in fact, with Trish tonight. So then Test and Albert and Val are in Trish's locker room. It's Albert's job, apparently, to tell Trish that she's up, and then break the news. The three of them are not allowed at ringside tonight. But it's all up to her, and she can do it. And she leaves, and they laugh and say she has no chance.
Did we already go over Edge versus Bradshaw?
I had nothing to say about it.
Oh. Well, a lot of shit happened. Christian tried to interfere. Farouk took him out. Bradshaw had the cover. Ref was distracted. Christian tried to hit the ring. Bradshaw killed him. Edge got the bell. Waffled Bradshaw. Pinned him. They had to do all that rigmarole just for Bradshaw to do a fucking job.
That's why it was boring and nobody cared. Road Dogg tries to talk X-Pac out of the match with Hunter. X-Pac refuses, so Dogg says he won't be a part of this, and he leaves. Trish versus Lita in a street fight. So at this point, Lita had been wrestling for a while. I don't know exactly how long. Trish is barely trained. She's out there in 6-inch boots. She's trying to take the hair mare, which is like the only move women could do in 2000. She's taking this bump, almost landing on her head every time. Lita hits a moonsault and tears Trish's shirt off, and she goes for the shorts, but of course Steven Richards' alarm plays.
God damn, that music is horrific.
He runs out with a robe, he pulls Trish away, and we have a count-out in the first ever women's street fight on Raw.
Yes. So, I mean, fucking a count-out of street fight, are you kidding me?
Lita couldn't have pinned her and then started tearing her clothes off?
No. Come on, Vinny. This right to censor music is horrific. But it's still better than Wild and Young. I listened very carefully to the music this week. And I almost fired up the other song, but I just couldn't even do it. I'm afraid if I even say the name of that fucking song right here...
You just did.
It'll start playing. Well, I know, I'm backtracking. But anyway, Wild and Young is horrible. Man. So then Stevie cuts his promo, blah, blah, blah. They call him Steven Richards eventually, right?
I thought they called him that tonight.
He should have been S. Gordon Richards or something. Because obviously this whole thing is a spoof on L. Brent Bozell.
I see.
And the Parents Television Council, PTC, RTC.
Where did you get Gordon?
That's a wacky name.
Okay.
S. Gordon Richards. I guess I could say S. Riley Richards or S. It'd be another. It'd have to be an R, I guess.
Rick.
S. Randall Richards.
Randall actually works.
That's actually a good one. S. Randall Richards should have been his name.
Rudolph? Not Randall.
Rudolph is not bad as well.
So yeah, that's the whole thing. Road Dogg tries to calm Hunter down. It doesn't work. He says, I'm not sticking around to watch this. The XFL has a press conference in San Jose. Road Dogg leaves the building.
Yeah.
He's gone. So it's Triple H versus X-Pac. Of course, they were not planning on fighting, so they're out there in street clothes.
What I loved about this is, like, in storyline, in order to properly fool Jericho to give him a beating, they had to beat the shit out of each other.
Yeah.
So they didn't go out there and do one of those fake matches where, like, they're exchanging holds. Because obviously if they just do holds, Jericho's going to know it's a ruse. Mm-hmm. So they had to punch each other repeatedly in the face.
Yeah.
And do all these high-impact moves and everything like that. And later, when it's all over, X-Pac is still selling his face and saying, I took a beating, but goddamn, it was worth it.
That's right.
They did a great job here, because on Raw, this would have been stupid today. But they put a lot of thought into it. It for the most part, made sense. Finally, after this, I mean, what didn't make sense is like, why did Jericho go out there? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so what happened was they're fighting, Pac and Hunter are, and Hunter gets thrown outside, and Jericho zooms in to attack him.
Yes.
I don't know why.
Well,
he has a match coming up. He didn't need to attack him. There was no incentive here.
See, he was a babyface who got greedy, and he paid for it. So yes. Even though this was a diabolical trap, he did look dumb to a degree. Like, they could not figure out one way to do it where he would not be dumb, at least to a degree.
So yes, as soon as he comes out there, X-Pac points up the ramp, and here comes Road Dogg with a sledgehammer. It's a trap again. They beat him up. They beat him and beat him. Hunter gives him a pedigree. Just drops him. I I assume this is Jericho's fault more than anything, because I've seen Hunter hit a billion pedigrees never do this. Chris Jericho bounces off his forehead on this pedigree. Just kabong. I watched it over and over again. It was brutal. And he did have room, by the way, to lift his head.
Not do the El Kabong?
Yes, because his head bounced, which is an indication that he had room to lift his head up. So don't take a pedigree like this, everyone. They hit him with a sledgehammer a few times, and they actually swung the sledgehammer like a sledgehammer is supposed to be swung, instead of just putting your hand on the head and jabbing a guy with it. And Steph slaps him. He's bleeding from the mouth. He's bleeding from the head. They beat the hell out of Jericho.
This was such a great heavy heat angle. They fool the guy. They lure him in. They beat the shit out of him. It's 3-on-1. He gets the internal bleeding first. Then they whack him in the head, and he's bleeding from the head. He's just bleeding everywhere. They're leaving the guy for dead. And I thought, my God, the payoff when Jericho gets his revenge, beats Triple H Fully Loaded. Fuck, it's going to be great.
It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be great, everyone. It's going to be great when he gets that revenge, everyone, at Fully Loaded.
Uh-huh. Or ever.
I was just laughing my ass off when I watched this. If you don't know, everybody, spoiler, he doesn't fucking win at Fully Loaded. They do a last man standing match and Hunter beats him. Clean, I might add. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's fucking ridiculous.
So DX is taunting Jericho as he's loaded into the ambulance. And this is where Pac had his line about how it's all worth it. Kat is at WWF New York dancing with random goofs as Method Man's song for The Rock is playing.
Lawler has to act all excited. I'm sure inside he's like, son of a bitch. Get me to New York as quick as I can when this fucking show's over.
Shane and Benoit go for a walk. The Rock goes for a walk. And then we get Chris Benoit versus The Rock, who had a great wrestling match. So, it's awesome. Rock hits the spine buster, I believe. Yes, the spine buster. And Shane yanks the ref out of the ring, yanks his shirt off, and puts the referee's shirt on. So Rock goes to chase Shane, but this leaves him vulnerable, and Benoit cuts him off and puts him in the crossface. And Rock is fighting and fighting and fighting for the ropes, and he reaches out for the ropes, and his hand brushes the ropes, but then lands on the mat, and then Shane is in fact a heel referee, and he calls for the bell. Yeah. And he says The Rock tapped out.
Yes.
And Benoit won.
So, Benoit wins. It's bullshit, okay? But Benoit gets his hand raised, and they're celebrating, and Earl Hebner then announces it is a disqualification, and Rock is the winner. And I was like, okay, hold on a second. The fucking Rock does jobs to everybody and their mother. He loses to everybody. So now we're 2 weeks away from Fully Loaded, and we've got to build up a challenger for The Rock. And you can't even just give that win to Benoit, even though it's bullshit. You had to reverse the decision, and Rock won via DQ. I'll give him till next week, because there is one more week. But holy fuck. I mean, come on. It's not like this is Triple H who they refuse to ever have anybody beat ever under any circumstances. I don't like seeing The Rock lose to everybody, but you know what? If you got to build a challenger for The Rock, then you got to have someone beat The Rock in a non-title match. They couldn't even do that. They had to do a bullshit finish and then reverse the bullshit finish. I was flabbergasted.
I didn't even realize they'd reversed the finish until right now.
They did. They didn't even give him that win via bullshit. They reversed the decision. Rock left this show as the winner.
Huh. How about that?
Yes.
Well, I'm going to stick with the finishes I wrote down. Which were pin after illegal man hit a move, pin after interference, clean pin, DQ in a three-way, pin after bell shot, count out in a street fight, and a submission called by a crooked ref.
So you're telling me that we had a count out in a three-way or street fight?
A DQ in a three-way.
A DQ in a three-way and a count out in a street fight. I'm sorry, I was distracted. I was reading this. This is what happened, Vinny. This is how we get to The Rock versus Chris Benoit in 2 weeks, okay? Rock and Benoit were in a singles match. And although Benoit seemingly won, the referee disqualified Benoit due to McMahon's interference. On the following episode of SmackDown, Foley forced Benoit to wrestle Eddie Guerrero and Chyna in a handicap match. Benoit lost by disqualification again, attacked Hebner, and this caused The Rock to offer Benoit a title match at Fully Loaded. Are you fucking kidding me?
That's strange.
Even in the glory period, they did bullshit. That is horrible booking.
You know the most amazing thing? This whole thing started when Benoit lost the IC title.
Yes.
I don't think he's won since.
I think you are probably right.
They couldn't beat Matt Hardy or something. Have him win a match.
And then, not only that, the match is Rock versus Benoit, where if Rock is DQ'd, he loses the title. Can we make this any more shitty? And then The Rock wins.
Spoiler.
Spoiler alert, everybody. After that build, Benoit did not become the champion.
No, in case you thought perhaps you'd forgotten Benoit as world champion in 2000.
Jesus. All right, Nitro.
WCW Monday Nitro number 251, also July 10th of the year 2000.
All right, my friends. This is the night after the famous Bash at the Beach pay-per-view in the year 2000. The announcer said there was a lot they could not talk about, and the only way that you could relive it was to watch the replay.
That was amazing.
Okay.
We legally cannot talk about this, but we can sell it to you.
So this is what happened for those of you that don't remember. I will make this as quick as possible. The match was Hulk Hogan versus Jeff Jarrett for the championship. Hogan was challenging for Jarrett's title. Hogan comes out for the match. Jarrett comes out. And Russo comes out looking forlorn. Russo then tells Jarrett, just lay down. Jarrett lays down in the middle of the ring. Hogan puts his foot on Jarrett's chest and he pins him. You, the fans, are supposed to believe that Hogan demanded to win this match, his creative control clause, and so Russo fucked him by having Jarrett not do a match and just lay down for Hulk Hogan. So, Russo then comes out later, and in case you are actually that stupid to not understand what's going on, he explains it to you. He says that Hogan used his creative control card to call the shots, and Jarrett laid down for him. And here's the key, everybody. This was all a work. It was all a storyline. Until Russo did this promo, and he called Hulk Hogan a big, bald son of a bitch. As it turns out, Hogan got very upset about this. He legitimately felt that Vince Russo went too far in this promo, disparaged him, called him bald, made him look bad, and as a result, because of this work, Hogan quit, and he filed a legitimate real-life lawsuit against Vince Russo. And this was, in fact, the end of Hulk Hogan in World Championship Wrestling. So that's what happened. That's what happened leading to where we are now. Booker later in the night beat Jeff Jarrett to become the new champion. They tried to convince all of the wrestlers that this was a shoot, even though they had a second belt out there. What a fucking coincidence. And, of course, nobody believed it. And it was just another example of the company trying to work all the wrestlers, and the wrestlers knowing what's going on, and losing faith in management, and the place careened out of control and went out of business. But that's the story of the Bash at the Beach 2000.
Well, here's what we got on Nitro in the opening video. At Bash at the Beach, Booker T beat Jeff Jarrett for the world title. A match that, by the way, was not booked or advertised or even hinted at before, ever, at any point. They have clips of... Actually, it was a good video package, although it was very rushed. But it was Booker T going back to the early days of Harlem Heat, and then the early days as a single star. Mike Tenay is doing this voiceover, the life story, growing up in Houston. Very rough life if you don't know Booker T's life story. And then he says, as he rose to the ranks, Booker T did, as became very successful, it became apparent that it was a question of when, not if, he would be world champion.
Wow.
It did, because I've been watching this whole Nitro. I've seen every Nitro they've ever done. He's never sniffed the main event scene.
Nope.
The closest he has come to being a main eventer until this Nitro right here is when he slipped up and accidentally called Hulk Hogan a very bad name.
That's true.
So, yeah, he's world champion now. They're doing the crowd shots, and there's this gal showing a lot of cleavage, so of course they show her on camera. And then they cut to another camera. It's the same woman, just a different angle.
Funny how that works.
That made me laugh. Shivani tries to explain what happened last night. Says Vince Russo signed Booker T versus Jeff Jarrett. There are some fans holding up Hogan shirts. There are some fans chanting Hogan sucks. And Shivani says a lot went down last night that legally we cannot talk about. But you can buy the replay to see it all for yourself. What a little horseshit that is. Booker T comes out for a promo. He's got the belt. He's got the shiny new shirt on. He's a star. Says he has no script. This is not a wrestling promo. He's just going to speak from the heart. His one regret is his mother is not there to see this. Thanks to the fans. Without the fans, there's no Booker T. All you playa haters in the back, don't hate the playa, hate the game. Which I think is the first time he said that. Calls out Goldberg for whining. Says Goldberg is a mark for himself and a mark for the business.
Isn't that funny, since Goldberg's a babyface at the end of this show?
He asks security to bring his wife, Lavestia, into the ring.
She was not his wife for long.
No. But she was his wife here. He refers to her as Mrs. Huffman. Thanks her for her love and for staying by him while he's on the road. Stevie Ray interrupts at this point. And if you've forgotten that you had been feuding for like a year. Stevie says, I'm the one who pushed you around on a tricycle. We slept in the same bed for 14 years. I loaned you my car. I loaned you my clothes. I brought you into this business. And I was there when Scott Casey said you had what it took and you be world champion. You're my brother. I'm proud of you. And I love you. And they had the big hug. That was so awesome. Then Medeja comes out. Now, Medeja never talked. She did totally fine here.
Yeah. I think this was the first time I ever saw her cut an actual promo. Yeah, it wasn't a great promo by any means.
She didn't have much to say, but I have seen 10,000 worse promos than this.
I see the worst promos weekly.
Usually by someone named McMahon. So Medeja says there's only one man in WCW, only one champion. That's my Big Papa Pump. And as she is distracting them, Scott Steiner comes through the crowd. He levels both members of Harlem Heat with a pipe. He menaces Lavestia.
She has to be trapped in the corner, the old trapped in the corner gimmick.
Yes.
A classic.
And eventually Steiner and Medeja leave. Now, wasn't Steiner a babyface last time we saw him?
Yeah. He's randomly turned heel.
He is a bad guy now with no explanation of when, why, or how this happened.
None.
All right. After the break, Booker tells Stevie...
But at least we're back on the same timeline again.
Scott Steiner should be a heel.
Yes.
Pretty much always, and definitely in WCW in the year 2000. Booker tells Stevie, take my wife and get out of here. Take care of her. I'm going to take care of business. Pamela now interviews Jeff Jarrett.
Oh, my God. This fucking guy's character is just horrible on this show. It's like, he's just an angry guy. He's always angry about something.
With everybody.
And it's never like deep. There's never any layers to his anger. It's like he's a one-dimensional angry guy. He's angry that Booker's the champion. He wants his rematch.
He's angry.
He's the chosen one.
The cat threw him a curveball. He had no time to prepare. He wants his rematch. Pamela says Booker already has a match tonight. Before she can say anything else, Steiner lays Jarrett out.
Yes.
I thought, okay, Jeff Jarrett faced Booker and lost. He's here whining. Scott Steiner laid out Booker. They both hate Booker. Now they hate each other.
So it is possible that, in fact, Scott Steiner is still a babyface.
I guess.
But he just wants this championship match. This doesn't explain him laying dudes out with a baseball bat, so I think he has turned heel. But yes, this show sucks.
I was often scratching my head throughout this program. Shane Douglas versus Crowbar. Speaking of, Shane is Tory now.
Yes.
Tori Wilson was Shane Douglas.
Do you remember like 6 months ago, we all sat down and were rattling off different things that we remembered about WCW before it died? And we're like, how do all these things happen between now and March of 2001? It's like there's a million things. And the answer is because shit just happens every single week from now until the company goes out of business.
Pretty much.
And there's no rhyme or reason for any of it. There's random turns, there's random alliances, there's random matches, there's random characters, there's random storylines. They're just throwing fucking everything out every single week. This week, Shane Douglas is with Tori.
He explains they have been together back since the days of the Revolution. And my mind started spinning. I thought, is that when they kidnapped her?
Yes.
They've been dating since then?
Well, you see, Vinny, the plan, the what did he say? The seeds were planted back then, and they waited until now to pull the trigger.
So as if this isn't enough of a swerve, they show what happened at the match at the beach when Douglas was wrestling Bagwell, and Tori comes out and begins her alliance with Shane Douglas by slapping Shane, then turning on Bagwell, because everything has to be a swerve and a double swerve. So Tori says Kidman never pleased her, can't remember why, randomly sucks her pinky and says, oh, I remember, giggle, giggle, tee-hee. So doing this match, it's Crowbar against Shane. Crowbar has Daphne now. Daphne is screaming constantly. One of the announcers says,
Total go-away heat.
It's good to see Daphne back screaming again. No, it is not. It is terrible to see Daphne back screaming again. Strongly disagree. We are told that Daphne defeated Miss Hancock in the wedding gown match. How? Miss Hancock tore her own dress off.
Wow.
Thank God we did not watch this show.
Oh, I can't even imagine.
So the women get involved. They do 400 near falls like it's a G1 final. Shane hits a face-to-face stunner and wins. And then Buff runs out to lays out Shane. This is a 5-minute segment that had 30 minutes of material.
The franchiser. That's the face-to-face stunner. The franchiser.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Is Daphne the one that went to TNA and screamed all the time? And I just wanted to... Who was that?
I don't even
Who was the serial screamer in TNA that just fucking made me so angry all the time? Had to be Daphne, right? Had to be.
Yes, I have no right.
I can't remember another incessant screamer.
Was it Daphne like on Thunder? Or was she in TNA?
She was in Impact, wasn't she?
I mean,
I gotta look up. Yeah, because she got hurt there, remember?
No.
Yeah, she suffered a career-ending injury in Impact.
Well, that sucks. I'm sorry to hear that. But I don't remember her being there at all.
Dude, she was there from 2008 to 2011.
So are 47,000 other people.
Well,
None of it was any good.
We watched it, is the point.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was her that was the incessant screamer that drove me out of my mind. But yes, she, remember she faced, you won't even remember.
Dude, no one cares.
She faced the large woman who crushed her, bruised her sternum, severe stinger, and a concussion.
That sucks.
Yes.
So Pamela Paulshock is interviewing Kidman. Here is his reaction to Tori Wilson disappearing in the Shrink Up with Shane.
Rosie Lotta Love.
That name I actually do remember.
Yes, you will remember this.
So Kidman says, skanks like Tori are a dime a dozen. She is nothing but a gold digger. If Shane wants his sloppy seconds, he can have her. He's focused on his career now. And that is how they wrap that up. It's done now.
Well, I mean, for the time being, it could easily pick this up again next week.
And Jeff Jarrett comes in. He's angry, and Jeff Jarrett and Kidman have a brawl. Smooth arrives. He is carrying a gold record. He is driving Tank Abbott in 3 count to the building. Jarrett, who we last saw brawling with Kidman, 5 minutes later, he's in the Cat's office demanding a title shot.
Yeah, he's mad. He's angry again.
So Cat says, what you did to Billy Kidman was disrespectful. I'm going to book you in a match against him tonight. Okay. What side is Cat on?
Fuck if I know.
Is the Cat a baby face
I think he's a baby face. I'm 90% sure.
I was so
I can't even
bewildered.
say that. I think this week he's a baby face. Although
continued.
He gets attacked by the Young Dragons. I'm pretty sure he's a baby face this week.
3 count comes out for a promo. There's randomly a ladder in the ring.
Yeah, why not?
And they say, we have a gold record. Or Tank says, I should say, Tank says, We're going to hang this gold record above the ring so we can cherish it.
Why the fuck not? What else do you do with a gold record? There's no wall. They made their own wall.
The hook hanging above the ring to hang this on. The Young Dragons ruin the ceremony. What dicks. They lay out.
I love this because the Young Dragons interfere, and here's what's supposed to happen. They're going to beat up 3 Count, and then Tank Abbott's going to get in the ring, and he's going to beat them up. And then the great fucking Muda is going to appear out of nowhere and miss Tank Abbott. That's what's supposed to happen.
Yes.
So the Young Dragons attack 3 Count, and Tank jumps the gun and he gets up on the apron. And he starts crawling through the ropes, and suddenly he realizes, Young Dragons have not beat up 3 Count sufficiently. I am too early. So he stops and gets out of the ring on camera.
Yeah.
And the announcer would have to go, Tank's having second thoughts. Which, by the way, I'm sure if Tank heard that, he beat somebody's ass backstage. But he waits for the Young Dragons to sufficiently beat up his friends. Then he gets in the ring. He goes after the Young Dragons. And the fucking great Muda, I still can't get over this, he shows up and blows mists into Tank Abbott's eyes.
Yes.
Tank Abbott was misted by the great Muda in front of my eyes.
It's a thing that happened.
What? And boy, like you could tell watching Muda that his knees were killing him. But holy fuck, that guy was mobile.
It's the Great Muda. Why do you think they call him the Great Muda?
Well, I just have seen so much of the great Muda over the last 20 years.
It's not the average Muda.
Where it's like he's on stilts.
The swell Muda.
I finally, I saw him moving again. I was like, holy shit, that guy could move.
Well, not only that, I have always seen the Great Muda and I thought that is, by pro wrestler standards, that's a man of average height. He's out there with the Young Dragons. He looks like Giant Baba in face paint. He's huge compared to them. Canyon does a promo. So,
God, Pamela's hilariously awful.
Well, she is, but
he's so bad.
As bad.
She's so bad.
As everything the WWF was doing to build Benoit as a challenger to The Rock here. Booker T, when they knew he was going to be champion at the end of the night, when he's never been a main eventer before, earlier in the show, he got pinned by Positively Canyon. Now, I'm sure there was bullshit involved.
I think that was probably part of the swerve.
But they didn't need a swerve. That's my point. They needed Booker T to look like a star. So Canyon pinned him. He wants the title shot. He's got a point. He pinned this guy an hour earlier. And Kat did not make him the top contender. He promises Kat is going to feel the bang. Goldberg arrives. He has ended the WCW career of Scott Hall. Okay. Jeff Jarrett versus Billy Kidman. By this point,
all that fucking work regarding Scott Hall and his contract, and he just gets retired.
I guess.
That's the payoff.
I guess.
Okay.
I have no idea if he came back or not. Jarrett versus Kidman. The show is a half hour old at this point, plus commercials. There have been maybe 5 minutes of wrestling. All right, I'm going to read my notes about the match here. Tori distracts him, Kidman. He brawls with Shane. She low blows him. Shane hits a DDT, and Jarrett pins him. Oh, God, Kidman kicks out. Why do a million things need to happen in every match? 800 more near falls, and Jarrett wins with a stroke.
Well, it's because Johnny Ace is now in charge of putting these matches together. And if you watched the show, like as much as I hated this show, the matches were better matches. And yes, there were a lot of near falls, but like we got back and forth matches with finishes. And we'll get to Booker T and Mike Awesome in a second. But if you watch that match, I mean, people are going to get mad because it wasn't. But my point is, that was like an All Japan match. They booked that like they would book a match in All Japan. It was two guys having a world championship match, and they went back and forth. And granted, there were tables and chairs, which you wouldn't see in All Japan, but they went back and forth. They beat each other up, and then the champion hit 5 straight moves on the challenger and then pinned him.
That did happen.
And was the better man. It is totally different than anything that we have ever seen on Nitro before. And I liked it.
I see your point. Are you
What the
vacuuming
fuck
there?
is that? Goddamn hot water heaters just happens to be right behind my desk.
Tremendous. That's tremendous.
Fuck.
Okay, so yes, there's. I thought it was overkill. Is all I'm saying. There's way too many near falls.
Well, it was overkill in this match. It wasn't overkill in the Booker T match.
No, the Booker T match was very good. This match was just nothing but near falls. And the bigger point is, why do an interference where a guy gets low blowed and then DDT on the floor if it's not even close to the finish? The match went 4 more minutes after that. What's the point of even doing interference if it's not... Anyway, I don't know. Steiner destroys Kanyon backstage. Great. That's swell. Steiner's me. Mike Awesome. I meant to write flirting, but it came out as feuding. But he's backstage talking to a heavy-set gal.
Nitro Girl Beef.
That's what we were told is her name.
Excuse me? There's now a Nitro Girl Beef?
Nitro Girl named Beef. Okay, that's funny. Come on. That is funny.
Nitro Girl Beef. Yes, out of nowhere, Mike Awesome is now the fat chick Thrilla.
Yeah. So the cat...
Okay, hold on a minute. Remember everybody that was talking about how there was a Booker T Mike Awesome world title match? Okay, yeah. Right before that match, okay? I am not making this up. Shat shows up and says, I stripped Scott Steiner of the U.S. title last night because he wouldn't listen to me. And I am now here to present this belt to you, Mike Awesome. You are the new United States champion. Mike Awesome says, excuse me, Beef. Shat, I don't deserve this title. Thanks, but no thanks. I deserve nothing. If I am going to be the champion, then I need to earn it. I was like, okay, so Mike Awesome is now the fat chick Thrilla, and he's a babyface.
Yes.
And he has turned down the U.S. title and says he wants to earn the U.S. championship.
Yes.
Okay. They go to commercial and come back, and it's Booker T versus Mike Awesome for the world title.
Yes.
Wherein Mike Awesome is totally 100% a fucking heel. Am I wrong?
No, that happened.
What in the fuck was going on here? I thought that, like, there was a glitch, and I had been watching one show, and then suddenly I was watching another show.
No.
But lo, I was not.
That's what was supposed to happen.
These things happened in this order in succession.
And it was their plan. It's what they wanted to happen.
Now, the match was great. But great TV what match. In the fucking fuck was this? I hate this show.
It's WCW the world in the year 2000. So, they had a great TV match. Booker T hit his move and won. They did mention here during this match that for all the wins that Bill Goldberg has, he has never beaten Booker T. What an easy, simple carrot to dangle. So Booker wins with the book end, which is his finish now. And then Steiner attacks because 5 million things must happen in every segment of the show. And then, who should save but Mike Awesome? He went from a heel last night to a babyface with the cat to a heel against Booker T to a babyface with Booker T in the same segment.
That happened.
No wonder I couldn't follow anything on the show.
I must talk about the next segment. I loved this next segment. Shat comes down and he gets in the ring. He says, I am the commissioner. People need to stop disrespecting me. Don't ever do what you want to do when you want to do it. I'm in charge. Scott Steiner, he says, get your ass out here. And I thought, wow. I mean, if I were to call it Scott Steiner, I could think of a lot of things I'd say. Get your ass out here, low on the list. This man's got some balls. Little did I know. Scott Steiner comes down to the ring, and he's big, and he's mean, and he's jacked up, and he's crazy. He's running over construction guys in real life. He fucking gets on the mic and he says, Shat, you have 3 seconds to give me a world title shot, or I'm going to shove that microphone right up your ass. Ernest the fucking Cat Miller says, and this is a direct quote, word for word, Ernest The Shat Miller said this to Scott Steiner. He says, "You know, I call you out here for one reason, you stupid bitch. And the reason I call you out here is because I'm going to do what nobody else done. I'm going to beat your ass myself." I fucking almost fell out of my chair. I was like, do you have a fucking death wish? Holy shit. I rewound it and I listened to it again. I was crying after I heard it the second time. Scott Steiner beat the shit out of this guy. He beat the fuck out of the cat. He left him for a dead man. And Booker finally runs down to make the save. Then Canyon runs in, then Jeff Jarrett. And somehow Shat's still alive. And he signs them all to a three-way. And then, of course, Goldberg's music hits. He wants in. And Shat makes it a four-way. But it's a four-way match. Winner is going to New Blood Rising and getting a championship match. Shat was fucking amazing in this segment. He was amazing.
That all happened.
I loved it.
But again, we were left with Steiner kills the cat, Booker makes a save, Canyon attacks Booker, Steiner attacks Canyon, Jarrett attacks Steiner. I
They all want this here belt.
I guess so. So yes, that's the upside. The upshot is the 4-way into the show. After the break, Goldberg broods for a while.
You know, I call you out here for one reason, you stupid bitch. And the reason I call you out here is because I'm going to do what nobody else done. I'm going to beat your ass myself.
And then he punched.
I loved it.
And then he immediately punched him in the face.
Yeah, and he paid the price.
But
he was a brave man. He was the bravest man I've ever seen on Nitro.
At the pay-per-view, Big Vito defeated Norman and Ralphus. That's great.
They're back.
Yep.
Remember when they got fired? And they were living on the street?
Vaguely, yeah.
Yeah, they just announced Shat has rehired them. Okay.
So we get a skit where Norman is training Ralphus. He's running stairs. He's trying to do push-ups. He's trying to lift weights. I don't know how many takes they did. I don't know how many stairs Ralphus actually ran. He appeared to be in legit cardiac distress. I was sincerely concerned for the man's health here. This is not good. And it went a long time, too. It leads to Big Vito versus Norman Smiley, although I guess Ralphus was in it, too. I am so over year 2000 hardcore matches. They brawled everywhere. They hit each other with shit. Wasn't any good. Here's the finish. Ralphus is on a table. Vito does a top rope splash and puts Ralphus at the table. And he's on top. So the ref says, well, that man's on top of that man and his shoulders are down. I shall count a pin. And he drops and starts to count 1 and 2. But this is not the finish. So Vito has to pop up to his feet. Okay. Then Norman hits Vito with a chair and begins to dance. Vito collapses and falls on top of Ralphus. And the ref counts 3 and Vito wins anyway.
Why didn't Vito just pin the fucking guy?
I have no idea.
This was horrible.
Why? You know what? I do know. Because, Brian, 500,000 things have to happen in every segment. Not enough had happened yet. We needed more shit to happen before they could do a finish. Yeah, giant screaming thumbs down to that entire segment. My favorite thing on the show then happened. It also involved the cat. He is randomly walking backstage when music begins to play. And he can hear it, by the way. He can hear this music. The young dragons, one at a time, ambush him. He goes all Jackie Chan on them, beats their ass, and leaves them. I laughed, and I laughed, and I laughed. Cat versus Young Dragons is so much fun. Paisley needs the artist's shirt to be ironed. She goes into wardrobe where she meets Kiwi.
Kiwi has debuted. He's just here now.
He's just a guy in wardrobe. Although really I should be happy because this leads to the greatest spear Bill Goldberg ever did to Kiwi. Do you not remember this?
I remember it happened, but I can't see it in my brain.
Kiwi, I will spoil it for everyone because I'll never forget it. Kiwi tried some sort of springboard move, and as he is flying back through the sky towards Goldberg, Goldberg hits a spear and sends him flying back even faster the other way. It just cuts him in half. It's amazing. Paisley, by the way, smitten by Kiwi. Lenny Lane is still around. He's in the crowd holding a sign saying, "Use me." Madden tells the story. He's under contract, and they're not doing anything with him.
Fuck. Welcome to 300 other guys.
Not only that.
And Lenny Lane sucked. I mean, the nicest way possible.
That is the bigger point. There's a reason he's not being used on TV. He's no good. So Lance Storm comes out. He is being a dick. He tells the fans, "I don't dance, I don't sing. All I do is wrestle. And being Canadian, that's why I do that the best. Fans, please stand for the Canadian anthem." So he came out here. He scolded the fans and lectured them about what they should be enjoying. What they should be enjoying. He played the national anthem of a foreign country. He did everything he could do to get them to boo him. And that is a match with the artist where he's the babyface. And I don't want to alarm you. Nobody cared about the match. Paisley's on commentary. More entertaining and insightful than any WWE announcer currently under contract.
Oh, man. She's doing commentary, and all these dudes are lusting over Paisley. It's grinding my gears.
Forgot the other
She did
Paisley.
bury Lance, though, so that's just life coming full circle.
I guess so. So we get 500 more near falls, and Lance wins with the rolling half grab. Vampiro arrives in a hearse with a coffin. General Erection and Corporal Cajun versus Chronic, who are the tag team champions now. They beat the Perfect Event for the titles last night. Juventud Guerrera on commentary, thank God. Just leave him on the mic the whole time. Entertain me. All these jabronis in the ring, he says, they sucks. Maybe that's why I'm talking the way I'm talking tonight. I listened to Hoovy tonight. They sucks because the Jew says so. Says this match is boring. It's in slow motion. It's not juicy. So the animals approach the ring. Jindrak and O'Hare attack them. They both through the crowd. 500 things must happen. Match keeps going. 700 near falls going on. So Chronic's got a new move. The idea is Adams will do a power bomb, and as he hauls the guy up for the power bomb, Clark will do a top rope lariat. Okay, great. It's a doomsday device.
This is their finish.
Yeah.
Not just a move. It's their finish.
Yeah.
Now, before you get to their finish, this match was so bad, everybody.
It was horrible.
Ray and Hoovy are at ringside, and Jindrak and O'Hare run out and attack them. Ray and Hoovy hadn't even tried to interfere. They literally just got off headsets and they were attacked by these two madmen. Match is horrible. Bryan Adams is awful. Brian Clark makes a comeback. He's absolutely wretched. Chronic then goes for their new finish. Their new finish. Not some random move in the middle of the match. This is their finish. What happens, Vinny?
So Bryan Adams lifts, I presume it was Corporal Cajun, lifts him up for a power bomb and he's standing there. And Brian Clark's on the top rope. Thinking, okay, he'll do a clothesline. It'll be like the doomsday device with the guy facing the other way, and that's fine. And then Adams, loses his balance and falls backwards. And Cajun hits the turnbuckle. Clark goes flying through the air. I don't think he hit anybody. They're all lying on the mat.
They fucked up their own finish.
To an unrecognizable degree.
They just leaped and everyone fell down, and then they covered.
And they pinned him.
That was the finish. Their own finish fucked up.
Their finish was the botched spot.
This was one of the worst matches in WCW in the year 2000.
It was miserable.
Horrendous.
That's exactly the word I used, actually, the finish report. We see Vampiro backstage nuzzling his casket.
Oh, my God.
Then we get this fucking Vampiro
Okay,
segment.
so he's got a casket. The fucking demon, Dale Torborg, gets out of it. Apparently they had a match last night, but now they're buddies. Sting got thrown off the Titantron and was burnt to a crisp, I guess. I don't even know how. I just remember it happened. So Asia gets in the ring. She's trying to pull Torborg out of the ring. Vamp tells him to beat his wife. That's literally what he says. Beat her and choke her. Be a man. So, and I'm not even making this up. The lights are out, but they go out.
Yeah. Here's the thing. There's like purple shades in the crowd, but the ring is in pitch blackness. You can't see what's going on. Fans are booing because they can't see anything. I'm watching on TV. I can make out 3 hominids in the ring. I can't tell if they're actually living or mannequins or what, but there's...
The lights are out. They go out. Then there's lightning. And I think I had an epileptic seizure in the middle of this. I'm not sure. But there's a man in the ring. All you can see is his nose. We're told it's Sting. He beats everybody up, and they talk about how he's been burned. What does he look like under that mask? And he leaves. He was thrown off the top of the Titantron on fire through the stage yesterday. Today, he's wearing a ski mask.
To be fair, Brian.
He's fine.
To be fair, the burning and the falling was at the pay-per-view before this.
What?
Yes.
I thought they said it was yesterday.
It was not yesterday. It was, 3 weeks ago, whatever that was.
All right, fine.
It still sucks.
This is dumb. And by the way, are you aware that Demon and Asia are still married today?
Did not know that.
They lived happily ever after.
That's excellent news.
A country and a demon.
That's fantastic. A continent and a demon.
Yeah, exactly.
So what happened here was a guy who could only see his nose was using a baseball bat and hitting stinger splashes. And the announcers are saying, well, that's clearly Sting. You can tell from the body language. There's no question it's Sting. But the fans are either booing or in complete silence because they can't see anything and they don't know it's Sting. WCW, everyone.
Yeah, Vamp beat Demon in that graveyard match they spent like $50,000 on, or some fucking ridiculous amount of money.
It's time for the 4-way. It's only been an hour. I could not remember for the life of me who the 4th person was. I remember Jarrett, Steiner, and Goldberg. I'm like, is Kibben in this? Shane Douglas? Who the hell is the 4th man? And then Canyon came out. I totally forgot about him. For all they have done to get the crowd to hate Goldberg, it has failed. They love him to death. It's all him on the apron as the other guys tag themselves in and do stuff. Finally, he tags in, gets one spear, the place goes crazy. Hits the jackhammer. Steiner breaks at the pin. Then we get Steiner and Goldberg. Now everyone's on their feet, and Sunday Nights was a hot show all over again. It's like the past year never happened. So they're killing each other, and as they're killing each other, Jarrett steals the pin on Canyon and wins. And that is how they set up the top contender for a pay-per-view.
Okay, so I know you guys are aware of this, but this company lost $62 million in the year 2000. $62 million. And the reason for that is because nobody was buying their pay-per-views anymore, and nobody was going to their shows anymore, and nobody was buying merchandise or anything, okay? So their buy rates are already fucking shit, okay? So they got New Blood Rising coming up, and Jeff Jarrett is the number 1 contender again to Booker T. Not Scott Steiner, not fucking Goldberg, not Sting. Jeff Jarrett is the number 1 contender for the World Championship. I shake my head.
They're dead, Brian.
They are deceased because of this incompetence.
And then he started his own company.
He did, actually.
Which actually is not dead yet.
Look, Jeff Jarrett is a fine performer. He's a fine wrestler. He's a fine promo. He should not have been the world champion of World Championship Wrestling in the year 2000. It's a disaster.
You know what just occurred to me? It's actually really old news at this point, but it just occurred to me. Impact Wrestling, or TNA, or whatever you want to call it, that company has been alive much longer than World Championship Wrestling was alive.
Hell yeah. Much longer.
Like twice as long, probably.
It was 1988 to 2001.
Yeah.
So we're talking, what, 13 years?
Then. Yeah.
13 years. And Impact was 2002, and it's currently 2019. So that's 17 years.
Not twice as long, but still
5 years longer.
Yeah. Anyway, the finishes, Brian. The finishes on this show were clean pin. Pin after interference didn't work, but the guy who got the interference eventually won anyway. Clean pin. Shitty fucking pin in a shitty fucking hardcore match.
Ugh, wretched.
Clean submission. Clean pin in a horrendous tag team match. And a stolen pin in a 4-way.
Hey, you know what? We had some pins on this show.
A lot of pins.
There were a lot of pin falls on this professional wrestling show.
And I believe I counted one submission.
So the story of Raw is it was horrible in the middle, but good at the beginning and the end. So much better than last week. And the story of this show was it fell off a cliff at the end, but overall much better than last week.
I have a feeling, like, I didn't know what to make of the show when it was done. Like, it wasn't a good show by any means. But they've been so horrible for the past month or two that I didn't hate it.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. I mean, it was bad, but it wasn't that bad. Raw on Monday was worse than this Nitro. The Raw that I watched from the year 2019.
I
much worse than this Nitro.
I can buy
So when
that.
people, I compared it to WCW 2000, and some people think I'm being overdramatic, but I watched that Raw, and I watched a year 2000 Nitro, and Nitro was better than the Raw that I saw on Monday. So there you go. All right, we're out of time, everybody. We're going to wrap it up. As noted, I'm heading back tomorrow. So Thursday, Bryan Vinny and Granny Show, back to normal. The Filthy Tom Show tomorrow, back to normal. Semper Vivi's doing Observer Live, but I'll be doing Observer Radio with Dave. So getting back in the swing of things here. And that's it, everybody. We're going to wrap it up, and we will talk to you again after a while.
Adios.